Welcome back to Coffee with Kirren. Today's episode is a special one, a deeply personal conversation about friendship, resilience, and the roller coaster that is Dubai real estate. I'm joined by an incredible woman, Nosh, who is more than just a friend. She is a big part of my Dubai family. We met in the training room of my first real estate job here, and let's just say we bonded pretty quickly. Being South Asian British women who left our families behind, we had so much in common. Honestly, I don't know where I'd be without Nosh. She's been my rock, my cheerleader, and my sanity saver, especially during those tough early days, and even today. And I know how many people give up in those first few months, and I truly believe that having a strong support system is key. Welcome, Nosh. I'm so happy to have you here. So let's start with, what made you want to move to Dubai? What was your reasons for moving? Let's start from, where were you before Dubai, and then what made you come to Dubai?
Okay, before Dubai, I was in London.
Yeah.
I had like a multitude of jobs. I never knew like what career path I wanted to take. And I always wanted to live in the sun. It was around COVID time where I realized that there's so much to life, and
sure.
I need to take the leap. I was always interested in property, interiors, but I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
And I would always scroll through like job portals, looking at various job vacancies in Dubai. And then I came across this one, but I never thought anything of it. I just clicked on it, applied, but kind of forgot about it.
So what was that job for?
It was for real estate.
Oh, okay, so the very first job you saw was a real estate job.
Real estate, yeah. And I was like, this may be where I'll learn about property, because I never knew I never knew anything about it.
I was gonna ask.
I never knew anything about it. I knew I had an interest in it. I knew that it was a great way to build wealth. Like I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos on people buying like the worst house on the street and doing it up and then reselling it and things like that.
But that was that UK real estate?
That was UK real estate. Didn't have any experience in the sector, didn't know anything. But knew I wanted to live in Dubai, be in the sunshine. And then when I came across the job, I was like, wow, not only can I learn about property, but I can do it in Dubai.
Sure.
So I applied. I kind of forgot about it. I think it was, like I said, around COVID time, and you know how it was in COVID, a lot of changes, a lot of uncertainty.
So before you'd thought about the jobs in Dubai, and before you started scrolling and looking, had you ever been to Dubai before?
I'd never been to Dubai.
No way.
Yeah, I'd never been to Dubai. What made me interested in Dubai was actually one of my really good uni friends. She had family out here, so when we were studying together in university, she would come out every like Christmas break, Easter break, summer holidays. Like she'd always be here, and she would always say to me, look, Nosh, I think you would love it there. Yeah. It's really like a bit of you. And that kind of like planted the seed in my mind. And then from there, I would watch, again, YouTube is my best friend, as you can tell. I would watch loads of vlogs.
It's the best place for research. Like people are vlogging all the time. So you're going to get, this is the whole reason for the podcast, because people need that real life stories and real life stuff. Yeah. So people go on YouTube to look at vlogs and look at people living their lives. So okay, so you've decided you want to get a job in Dubai. Mm-hmm. So how did you look for the job in real estate itself? I know you weren't meaning to look. So sorry, what were you looking on? Which website?
I was looking at like the usual job portals, Golf Talent, like Indeed, things like that. Not really good with LinkedIn, but if you are looking for a job in Dubai, I think that's probably one of the best 100%. Ways to go and do it. Reaching out to people who already work in the company to kind of get a feel for if it's something that you would enjoy, or even like the company culture and stuff. I think that would have really helped me out, but I'm yeah, like I said, I'm not very good with LinkedIn, and I probably should get better.
Yeah,
being in the industry that we're in.
I think now that we've been through that whole process of, you know, going through the recruitment process, we know what's important and what to look out for. So that's really interesting. So let's see. So you found the job, and then what happened? So how did you apply, and what were the next steps? How did you go from applying for the job to then actually getting to the interview stage kind of thing?
So I just applied. I sent my CV. I saw like a few. I think it was probably one of two. Yeah, it was one of two. Sorry, my memory's so bad. But it was one of two like real estate jobs that I had applied for. I didn't know anything about any companies out here. I literally, with little research, just off the whim was like, right, this is what I'm going to do. That's very much my personality, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
As you already know. Just off the whim, applied, forgot about it. Then a lovely lady reached out to me and she was like, oh, you applied for this job? And I was like, really? Did I? And then we got talking.
I think I did that. I think because I applied via LinkedIn. I only chose LinkedIn. I didn't look anywhere else. And I was just apply. Because I just couldn't figure out which was the best company or which was the best, which one's going to be the best one. So I thought, well, whoever contacts me first, that's who I'm going to speak to and get an idea of what it all is about. So I was very much like that. Like, who did I apply to? Which company are you? And who are you again? And like, and because they actually take, how quickly did they get back to you? Because it took a long time to get back to me.
I think because they were actively looking, it must have been a few weeks.
Yeah.
But even then, like, because I was like half in it, half not really sure.
Yeah.
So when she did reach out to me, I had already forgotten that I'd even applied.
Yeah.
But then we had the conversation. So she let me know that it was like a 2-step process. And the first would be like an introductory phone call.
Yeah.
So we had the phone call, and then she said, are you available to jump on a Zoom? So we jumped on a Zoom like maybe a day or two later. Yeah. Had the Zoom interview. And then she was like, she got back to me fairly quickly after that. And she was like, congratulations, you've got the job. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, already?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
But that's the interesting part, because I think what our standards are in the UK, how you go for an interview, you are so used to hearing you haven't got the job because you don't have the experience. Yeah. Whereas we both know in real estate, you don't need to have experience. No. You just need to have that personality to go through. But speaking about that, so after the recruitment process, in that actual interview, were you given a clear picture of what the actual job was? No. Like what your day-to-day tasks were?
I'd have to say, I still was very much confused. Like, I think you learn the majority. I think you're given like a brief overview, but it's not something that you really understand until you get there and you learn everything that we know now. I think we've learned it on the job.
Exactly.
Even like for the first few months, first few weeks at least, I was very confused. Like, you do like a week's worth of training, sometimes a bit longer, depending on the company that you choose to join. But so our training was like a week's worth.
But going back to the actual interview process, I know I was told we were going to get 1 week's training. So just for the listeners, Nosh and I met when I first came to Dubai in the training room, as it was at the first company, but you'd already been here 6 months prior, right?
Yeah.
So Nosh already had that experience of being in Dubai. So it was actually really funny because she just was so like chill, like blah, blah, blah. Like, and we're just like, oh my God, how do you do this? How do you do that? And she's already like got all the experience and been through that already. But so let's talk about your first, when you were moving from the UK, not the one that we were both at together.
Yeah.
So like, I know I wasn't told I firmly believed I was coming into a job that was going to be 9 till 5. You know, I'm going to ring the database and get listings, and it's easy to do.
Yeah.
And then I was going to get a week's training and explain to me exactly how to do everything, so I don't need to worry. And me being me, I was just like, well, yeah, you know, once you train me, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like that's us. You teach us once, we'll remember, and we'll go do it, and we'll adapt it as we need to. But let's go back to your very first interview, because that's a different company from when you and I were together. Did they tell you about the hours, about the actual day-to-day job side of things? None of that in the interview?
No, none of that. The only thing that was kind of communicated was it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But you kind of like, you don't really take that in.
No, you're like, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. I mean,
it.
You know, if you get, like you said, if you get the training and you're on the job for a bit, it all kind of comes to you eventually. But oh boy, I was in for a shocker. Even after like a month, I was still very much like, how do people make money from this? Like,
me too, honestly.
Like, how does this work?
But you were there through my early experiences, and I was just like, I don't understand why I'm struggling. Like, I'm really trying. I don't know how to go. Like, I don't know how to move forward and push through. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, why are people around me like closing deals, and I'm just like, why is this so difficult? I just didn't understand why it was so difficult.
I was the same.
Looking back now, it's because we weren't told properly. We weren't given the proper. No, I don't want to say the training we were given. It was an I mean, I class it as an overview of real estate. I initially went into leasing when we worked at the same company together. And so did you, actually.
So did I, yeah.
I don't believe in that training session we had, there was that much in there about leasing.
No.
I think we had one section which explained to us about a tenancy agreement and the apps, the government apps. And I remember in training, they were like, get on the phone. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what I'm saying. But I remember I think you got a listing straight away, didn't you? In that training session.
But it was only because I had done it before.
Yeah.
When I had joined the first company, I was so confused for so long.
Yeah.
You kind of just get thrown into the deep end and kind of like sink or swim kind of situation. It was the people around me that actually helped me more than
the managers
and the trainers, because I feel like they're just so bogged down with whatever it is that they're doing, and they don't really have time, and they see so many people come and leave. They kind of just let you get on with it, and if you're going to stick around, then maybe they'll give you a bit more attention,
100%.
which is unfortunate.
Because
sometimes they lose a lot of talent that way.
100%.
Yeah.
How many companies lost me?
Yeah.
Because they, well, actually, to be fair, it was only the first one, because after that, they all took me seriously.
Yeah.
But I personally outgrew them. I knew I deserved more.
Exactly.
But that's another thing. I mean, going back to that very first day, from obviously for you, for the company we were at together, it was different because it wasn't your first day as such. But going back to that first company, what were your feelings on that first day? Were you ready to go? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Like, how did you feel on that very first day? So you've come out of training, you're a newbie, you're like ready to go, or were you like, I'm done, I don't want to do this no more?
No, I was so excited. I was so excited, but I also was very apprehensive as well, because I felt like, well, when I actually sat on my computer, I completely had forgotten everything that we kind of learned in training, because it was information overload. It was so much, but at the same time, like so little.
Because that's the other thing I was going to say. So, the stuff in training, and you have a notebook of what you have your notes, let's say.
Yeah.
When you're on a call, you're not going to be flicking forwards and backwards through that notebook. Like, it's just not... It just all goes out the window, and you literally just sink or swim. Like, it's just like, try and figure this out, or use my own initiative to kind of figure out what I need to say next. But I know on my first day, I was so not prepared. No. Like, I thought I was prepared. I've done all my research into the area I was allocated. But then I was like, when I had that first phone call, and he's like, how much can I get for my property? And I was like, because I was a bit like, oh, I know I did the research, but I don't know if that's the right thing to say. And he's telling me he wants something that's such a large amount. I'm like, oh, you can't get that. But I was too scared to say, you're crazy, mate. Like, you ain't going to get that much rent for your property. So no, but I didn't have that confidence. But I wish someone had told me how to push back.
Exactly.
Because then I probably would have got a lot more listings and felt more confident as well. So when you did move from the UK to Dubai, what were the biggest challenges?
For me, it was...
And this is about just the job side of things.
Okay. The job side. I didn't know that there would be challenges. So when the challenges came, eventually, not eventually, they started coming very thick and fast.
Yeah.
It was it was a big shock kind of thing, and I wasn't prepared for them.
Yeah.
I think the financial aspect hit me fast.
100%.
Because you were told in the interview like a rough figure of how much you were required to bring. So I thought, okay, I was comfortable. I bought enough. I bought more than that. And still,
I did that too.
There were a lot of upfront costs.
Yeah.
That you didn't account for because nobody told you.
Yeah.
There's going to be this deposit, that deposit. And it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, your bank balance is going down and you're on a 100% commission only role.
Yeah.
And the way that you were told in the interview, people become millionaires in the first year, and
I know.
Yeah, you're gonna do a deal, easy peasy. The deal was just gonna come to you, kind of thing.
They make it sound like it's so easy.
So easy, but
it's like taking money from a baby, as they say, or whatever the saying is. But it really is not.
No.
And that's what I thought. I was maybe overthinking things because I had so much experience, and maybe it should be. Maybe I am overthinking it. It should be a bit more straightforward, but it never was straightforward.
No, it wasn't. And they don't teach you. Like you said, they give you an overview, but they don't teach you how to do the job.
Yeah.
They don't give you a script of what you should say when you're first trying to acquire a property.
Yeah.
They don't give you negotiation skill training, pushback training. Yeah.
Objection handling. They tell you where to go to kind of research your area that you're given. Yes.
They kind of place you in areas based on your personality, but they don't really know you in order to give you an area based on your personality.
I loved my first area. My first area was Jumeirah Islands. And
nice.
I always would love Jumeirah Islands, and I would always want to live there. So I'm thankful that they thought I was someone that could rent out these massive villas in a high-end community. So thanks for that, but it just didn't work out. It just never got there.
I feel like the energy is very much because you're on 100% commission, nobody's your friend, you should trust nobody, but actually in reality your agent network is so important.
100%.
And because they plant this seed in your head beforehand, you kind of walk around with your wits about you and kind of closed off with your cards held close to your chest and things like that, but actually it should be the other way around.
But do you remember that in that company we met, that happened to me?
Yeah.
So when we first, in our training group, there was 5 of us, right? And we were 5 good friends. And then one of them decided to move back to her home country, within a couple of months. And then the other one, when we all got left training, we all got put in different offices. And I was in Motor City and you went to Business Bay.
Yeah.
And then one of the other girls, she went to another place. And then when we all went and settled in and we were our own support system and we were texting each other because we had the group chat and how's your first day and whatnot. And she was really struggling. I remember she was like, nobody talks to me. I'm sat here by myself.
Yeah.
And we all felt really bad for her because 2 of us were together in Motor City, 2 of you were together in Business Bay, and then she was on her own. And then obviously because we were a friendship group and we really looked out for each other, I remember doing everything I could to get her moved over to my office and in my team. And that happened.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, I think she forgot I was a friend. No, she was like sat next to me, and then she was sat next to me. I helped her. She asked to work in the same areas as me. We were helping each other out, and then someone took a liking to her in the team, and then they like helped her even more, and helped her close deals and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, she forgot who our friends were. Like I clearly remember at the Christmas party, because we were there for Christmas, because we joined in November. Like we stuck together, and she was nowhere to be seen, kind of thing. Like so as much as it is competitive, I think you got to be careful who your friends are, because
100%.
You start off thinking you've got a friend, and then they literally just use you for that moment. They need you to step up, and then they try and step on you to step over you. So one of the biggest parts of the stress for me in those early days was not having a visa. And I remember actually you came with me on the first border run. We did it together. There was 3 of us, right? We had a little bit of a road trip, drove over to Hatta, went to the border, did a U-turn, came back, got a Subway, got some snacks on the way.
I remember it. It was a cute day.
Yeah. So how did you survive? I mean, when in your first company that you worked in, did they do your visa straight away, or did they say
it was the same thing? It was you do your first deal and then you get your visa, which is, I think, crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not told what that actually means for you, and what you're gonna have to go through in order to get a visa or in order to stay in the country. It's just like another stressor, another thing that you have to consider and worry about.
Sure.
Although, we had a great time doing the road trip, we could have gone without that.
You got your visa a lot sooner than I did, because remember, I obviously ended up leaving that company after 2 months because it just wasn't for me. Leasing wasn't for me. I don't think the company I was working for was for me as well. But it all happened for a reason. If I didn't join that company, I never would have met you guys. I wouldn't have. I've still got a lot of good friends from that company, and they're still, a part of my networks. When I need a particular property or whatever, I'll tap into them. So still definitely happy to be there. Just really not happy at the fact that I lost those 2 months, and I lost 2 months of money. That's the frustrating part. But do you think? So with the visa situation, So with the visa situation, have you experienced that in any other companies you've worked for? Or is it just that first one that you worked in?
Just the first one.
Oh, really? Didn't happen in the second one, the one that we worked at together?
Yeah, so they didn't give me, actually, that's a lie. Yeah. They didn't give me a visa in that one. It was the same rule. It was the same rule. You have to close a deal in order to get your visa. However, with the second company, because I already had a bit of experience, I closed pretty quickly. I remember. And then the visa was being processed. So I didn't really feel the effects of that one. It was the first company that was really stressful. I didn't have a visa for, I think, not until my 3rd month.
Really?
Yeah. So I had to
5 months.
Yeah, I had to do a visa run there. And when, at least with the second company, I had obviously made friends with you guys, and I had friends from the previous company as well. So I was a bit more comfortable, and I knew Dubai and I knew how the whole process worked. But with the first company, because before I moved out here, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how it worked. I'm the kind of person that finds it very difficult to ask for help.
Very independent. That's why we're friends.
Hyper independent, and it's not a good thing. You have to ask for help here, otherwise you'll make it really, really hard for yourself. So that was such a stress. But I remember as soon as I gained a little bit of confidence in order to ask for help, people are really helpful because they've been through it. They know what it feels like and how stressful it can be. I think it's really important for companies out here to at least make you aware if they're not going to give you a visa.
100%.
Or just give you a visa so you're not stressing about that. Maybe that's the reason why you're not closing, because you're having to think about the fact that you can't actually be in the country legally.
And then on top of that, the whole commission only. So like with me, I was first, okay, so my first few months there, and obviously you were there, so you probably remember what I'm about to say, but first it was like the stress, I need to close a deal,
Yeah.
not only so I could get my visa, but I could prove that I can do this.
Yeah.
I haven't wasted my time coming here and sold up everything and come here.
Yeah.
So that's one like little bit of pressure. Like, you've got to make this work. Failure's not an option. Then on top of that, you're like, okay, for me, I was like trying to find somewhere to live as well. And again, not having the visa, not having an Emirates ID, you can't sign a tenancy. So that was difficult. Then I'm like, my savings are running out really fast. So that on top of that. And then the whole, I need to close a deal to get the money to be able to afford to live.
Yeah.
And all of that was just adding up and adding up and adding up. Like, how did you survive on like commission, like in your early days before you closed your first deal?
So I was in a very similar situation. The bank balance was decreasing and there was no deal on the table.
Yeah.
And then no visa, and it was very, very stressful initially, very stressful. I remember having to borrow some money, that's another thing that I just hadn't ever done before.
Yeah.
And it was so hard for me to swallow that. And so that's another thing that was going on in my mind. And it was just like the first, I'd say, especially the first 3 months, they were so difficult. But even the first 6 months was so hard.
And do you know what? I'll just go as far as saying the first year.
Yeah,
because
I agree, actually.
You're catching up.
You
so
are.
even though you're now closing deals, you're still not able to live that comfortable life, depending on the value of the deals. But let's face it, I don't know many people that have gone in straight off and closed a massive first deal.
Yeah.
I probably know one person, but like not many, it's
doesn't
slow.
happen very often.
No. So you got to like build it up, and then you're on a roll. So for me, like, because even when I left the first company, then I went to the second one, I had that little bit of break. 'Cause remember they gave a bit of a salary, and that salary was covering my rent. So I was like, thank God. But then obviously I left there after 2 months because it was just too much of a small company. And then when I went to the next one, I couldn't still focus. Because I literally said in my interview, if I don't close a deal in my first month, I'm going back to the UK. So you need to make sure I close in my first month. I started in April, and in the May I closed my first deal. So I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I was like, this is now where I belong. But then I had to catch up with the November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 months of not having an income. Then it takes another 3 months for your comms to come through when you do an off-plan deal. So yeah, I was the same. I had to, and I hated, but I had to borrow money from family. And I really didn't want to, because I told myself, no, I chose to come here. No one told me to come here. This wasn't a necessity. It was me wanting to do something different. If I can't fund myself, then I shouldn't be here. And that's in the back of my head. I kept saying I was going home, but you very much was telling me I wasn't going home, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like because we had made such a big move to be here and people around us were successful. I felt that it was only a matter of time that it was going to happen for us. So I felt like, I don't know, I was just kind of giving you the advice that I wanted to hear, and I was kind of, as I was giving you the advice, it was like I was advising myself. And I just thought, no, we're better than this. Like, it is going to work for us. We haven't made such a big sacrifice for it to not work for us,
100%. There's been, obviously, at those early stages, we had the periods of time where we didn't close a deal because we were new. But I also know, even as experienced agents, you can have dry spells, whether that's, the market's gone quiet because of the holidays or whatever it might be. So how do you now survive or cope? How do you get through those periods of when you haven't closed? What's the longest period of time that you've not closed a deal?
Quite a few months, because it can happen in a way that you could have deals on the line. You could have agreed deals, and then they just, poof, they're gone. Or maybe personally, I've been through spells where I've been low in confidence. And that happens because maybe you haven't closed in a month or two, and then you're kind of on this downward spiral, and it's so hard to get up. And that's another thing. I feel like with this job, it's very much a mental battle consistently.
100%.
Yeah.
I literally ask myself if I'm bipolar sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I mean, the longest I've gone without closing a deal, I think was 3 months. And that was in the last company I worked in, which was just absolutely ridiculous for me. I joined a company with such a big reputation and I had to leave because they just didn't have the business levels I expected and what was promised to me in the interview. So 3 months has been my longest period. And honestly, if I didn't have my savings from the previous deals I did close, I think I'd be back at that stress level of day one. But that's what I learned from those first few months when I didn't close it. Well, few months, feel like it was 7, 8, 9, 10 months, whatever it was. After that first like long period of not having an income, I'm now like so cautious with my money. Like I think people think I live a lavish lifestyle because I was closing deals. But actually I'm like, no, let me hold that money because I don't know when that rainy day is going to come. Like I've got to be sensible. So for me, that's how I kind of like deal with those periods that are where you haven't closed. But I think the other thing is, and I think one thing that you and I do a lot is actually like keep pushing each other along.
100%.
Like I think your favorite words to me is, it's going to come. It's going to come. Don't worry. It's coming. I can feel it. Like, so you're always like, you know, you always like look at the positive side of it. Keep pushing through. Like, you know, look at what, and I think one of the things you said to me was, look at where you were last year.
Yeah.
So like, but how do you, I know it's easy to give that advice to other people, but how do you keep yourself motivated? What pushes you along?
It doesn't come easy.
No.
I feel like having a good circle is so important. Having people that believe in you. And also I take a lot of time to myself to like self-reflect. And I do a lot of introspection. And I try to remind myself why I came here in the first place. And not only that, but where I want to be in the future. And I always ask myself, like, would I rather be doing something else? And if the answer is no, then I need to keep going. Because although it is so difficult and everyone says it, but when it's going well, it is the best job in the world and I love it. I actually love it. So I think that I hold on to those like moments a lot, and I try and remember them in the hard times. And I realize that actually hard times, they don't last.
No.
Like there will be a time where it will get better again, basically.
But don't you think that's like, I think the word people say is character building, going through the hard times. But I think it's giving you the skills and the resilience for this job. If you can get through those low days where, you know, you're not closing deals and you can push through, then when it's easy, you're going to appreciate it so much more.
100%.
And then you're going to be sensible to line stuff up so you don't have no more dry days. So that it is a big learning curve. And if you can get through it, it's only going to help you so much more in the future, for sure. So changing employers, it can be a big decision. I've worked for 5 different companies. How many different companies have you worked for?
4. Yeah, I think.
I beat you by 1. So I worked for 5 different companies. When you've changed company, I think, so with me, when I changed from the first company, I was all over the place and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, is this even going to work? Is it going to be the same problem? Then the second time when I changed company, I was like, oh my God, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Then it worked in the third company. I had a really successful career for a year. Then I saw a better opportunity and I was so nervous. I was like, but what if I go and it's not as good as it's been here? And should I take that risk? Should I not? Like, what if I want to come back? Am I going to burn my bridges? Like, I didn't know. Like in the UK, I could always go back to any job that I left because, you know, it's the UK and people are like, okay, well done, we'll give you a reference, and they're happy for you. And the door's always open. But I didn't feel like that was the case in real estate. But actually looking back, and then, you know, when I've moved along and I've realized, actually, no, one thing I've learned, and I say this, I've been saying this a lot to everybody that's looking to change. I always say, don't worry about the company in the sense of you leaving the company, because the companies, there's hundreds of companies there. It's about the agents. It's hard for agencies to find a good agent. It's not hard for you to find a company to work for. The doors open everywhere.
I've heard you say that so many times.
Haven't I? But isn't it true?
It's so true.
Because at the beginning, I was always made to feel like, oh, you know, I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I felt like my skills and my experience and my knowledge wasn't worth anything. I was really made to feel like, you know, you are not good enough, basically. But then I started realizing, hold on a minute, I've closed this many deals. Who else has done that? But yet you're still telling me I'm not good enough. Okay, then see you later. I'm going to go somewhere that's going to appreciate me.
100%.
And then I did, and I made more money, and I closed bigger deals because I was appreciated. Until, you know, then I start feeling like I've done enough I can do here. I don't feel like I'm going to grow anymore. Then I'm going to go elsewhere. For me, changing a company is building your network and you growing. And if you do want to go back to one of those, always leave on good terms, because
100%.
you might want to go back. That is your safety net. Make sure the door's always open for you to go back. What was your experience like when you changed between the 4 different companies?
So from the first company, I actually caught COVID. So I kind of had no choice but to leave, because I had taken so much time out. I had long COVID. I didn't even know if that was a thing.
No, I think you still got long COVID.
Yeah, probably. Probably. But yeah, so that was the reason why I left the first one. I actually really enjoyed that first company. I met people that I'm still friends with. And yeah, I know I keep banging on about this, but your agent network is so important. Sometimes it's just as important as your client network, because you never know what you might need and how to service your clients if they want a particular area that you don't focus on. But yeah, that's just a side note. But yeah, so that was the first company. Then my second company, I felt like I outgrew them. There were so many things that they didn't evolve with the times. And I would put my input in all the time when asked for, like, so the second company, they didn't involve.
You would make suggestions and they weren't listened to.
They weren't listening to any suggestions, and they didn't really want to evolve. So that's why I left them. But I was really reluctant to leave those companies, because coming from the UK, that's not within the culture to just up and leave.
Who are you telling? I was in my company for 16 years.
Exactly. And that's what it's like in the UK. So it's very different out here. So I was, like I said, very reluctant. But then I realized that this is actually what goes on here. Like, everyone does it. And it really is, because like you said, there are so many companies. So in order to find the right fit, you do need to move around a little bit.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like sports professionals.
Oh yeah,
they do the same.
I didn't think of it like that.
They do the same. Yeah, somebody pointed that out to me not so long ago, and they said a lot of really good athletes move around a lot until they find their team. That's like, and then until they find their team that, you know, where they fit in with the culture, and then they thrive there. And that's the only real comparison I can give it. Give what it's like to be in real estate in Dubai. I feel like sometimes you have to move around a lot to find your place and find a company that fits and works well with you, and then you can really start to thrive.
100%. So that's the work side of things. This is this tough thing that I think you and I have had lots of conversations about, and it's about the family. So leaving a family behind, it's obviously really tough. So how do you, I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but how do you deal with the emotional side of it? Like, how do you cope with, like, sometimes it's like the guilt of leaving them behind or not being there? Because obviously your family makeup is very different to mine. I was independent, living on my own. You know, my sisters are all in their own households, living their own lives and whatever. But obviously we had to get together as a family unit. And I was really, you know, worried about missing out on my nieces and nephews growing up. But then I thought, well, you know what? They've got a cool aunt to come visit in Dubai when they're old enough to.
The cool auntie.
But your family unit is different to mine. So how did you feel about that? Like, when you decided to move here, like...
It was So hard. I think the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
It was the first big thing that I ever did for myself, and I remember it so clearly. But there was a point where I actually wasn't going to come, wasn't going to make the move.
Yeah.
But I actually sat down with my mum, and this is so shocking because my mum is like the opposite of this.
Yeah.
But she advised me. She said to me, "Look, you have to go," and I was like shocked when she said that to me. I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "You have to, because I don't want you to, you know, in 5 to 10 years time, or when you're older, to look back and regret the fact that you didn't do it and what could have been." And I think I hold that advice so dear, and I think that's what keeps me going as well in the hard days. But I'm super close to my siblings. I'm the oldest daughter, so for me it was like
second mom.
Especially to my little brother, who's basically 20 years younger than me, so he's like a little baby, and that's how I see him. So it's so hard. Like, even sometimes it still upsets me, and I think it doesn't get any easier.
No.
People say with time, you know, time heals. It does in certain situations, but not with this. Like when I go and visit and I have to say bye, it's just as hard as the first time. But I have to keep reminding myself that I need to live for myself. I can't live for other people. And I spent so many years kind of thinking about everybody else.
Exactly.
And it was just about time that I did something for myself, and this is something that I really wanted to do. So I'm glad I did eventually make the move.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think look at the life we have here compared to the UK. That's the reason I'm saying regret it, because your quality of life is so much better here.
100%.
And that is the thing as well. So many of us, especially in the Asian culture, we have to be responsible for our family, particular family members, or it's just not a good thing to do to leave your family behind.
It's a bit of a taboo, isn't it?
Especially, I mean, my mum's a single parent, but I mean, she's so independent. Even if I was living there, she'll be out and about doing her own things. And, you know, I'm trying to catch hold of her because she's always so busy. So what am I supposed to do? Sit there and be around and not progress in my life just so I'm, you know, available and present in the lives of others? That's not going to benefit me. And that is that little bit of being selfish, but being selfish for the right reasons, because 100%. I think I'm a better person now, and because I'm flourishing and doing all the things that I want to do, and I'm really like ticking all those boxes and goals that I never thought was possible in the UK. So I think when my family start to realize how much I've achieved, because I haven't told them everything. Some things honestly you forget to tell, because you know, saying I've closed a deal, I've done this and done that, is every day for us, or I've moved to, you know, some things are just like not worth telling. I mean, that's probably moving on to like the next point. Like, how do you stay in touch with your family and friends? I know you speak to your mom quite a lot. But what about like others? Because I'll be honest, I struggle so hard to stay in touch with people in the UK, because I have 4 different WhatsApps. Like I've got my UK number, I have a USA number, I have my Dubai personal number, and I have my Dubai work number. And then I'm doing Zoom calls with international clients. The last thing I want to do is jump on a Zoom call with my family, because I'm just like, oh my God, it's like I'm working again. But how do you stay in touch with not just your mom, but like, how do you find time for it? Or do you just like randomly, how do you do it basically?
So just going off what you said, it's so difficult because we spend our whole day speaking to people. So sometimes when we get home, we just want to switch off, and we literally don't have the capacity to be.
I call it social exhaustion.
100%. That social battery is gone. And it's really crazy because we're very much people.
Of course we are people.
And we love our friends, we love our family. But I struggle a lot too. Like yourself, I struggle so much, especially with my friends. And it has been a bit of an issue for us, where we've had to have those difficult conversations like, you don't care, or you're not putting in the effort. And it really isn't that. It's that life is just so fast here.
I was going to say, do you think people in the UK understand what our life is like, firstly in Dubai, and secondly as a real estate agent, because I've stopped telling people about my life in Dubai. Because first when I was like, I'm on commission, and they're like, oh, just get a job that pays. It's not just go get a job that pays. Like, it don't work like that. And then they don't get like, I'm like, oh, I work all these hours. Oh, yeah, but you work hard anyway. No, like I'm literally not sleeping. Like they don't get it.
They don't get it. And it's not something that you can really explain. It's not something that anyone will really and truly understand unless they go through it themselves.
Yeah.
Even if they are around to watch you do it, they still will not get the full picture. I've had friends come to visit in the past, and even though I'm still at work, I'm obviously trying to rework my schedule to make time for them and be present and things. And, you know, it's been difficult, and like I said, we've had to have the difficult conversations of, oh, you're not making time, or you're not prioritizing. And then you have to really sit down with yourself and think, how am I going to navigate this now? And how am I going to make the time? And I think now, because I find it so difficult to express myself when it comes to how I'm really feeling and like asking for help or showing, it's just that hyper independent oldest daughter.
You just crack on.
Just get on with it, and I just kind of keep it to myself.
And I have to bully you. I'm like, what's wrong? Nothing. I have to like, no, tell me what is wrong. Like I literally have to force it out of you.
Literally only comes out when I'm near the point of a mental breakdown.
Well, listen, we've all been there.
But yeah, I think communication is so important, and just really explaining to your friends and your family and whoever you value, just to be like, look, this is how my day is. This is the only time I can give you. Let's try and, like, I really now have to book in appointments to speak to my friends. It's really crazy. It's not because before they know me to be always available, or like maybe not always available, but you know, be able to respond within a certain time frame. And now it's not that way anymore. So yeah, over the years it's got better. And now, kind of book in and make sure that I'm available for that time slot and really have a lengthy conversation. And so it's not as often, but I'd say when it does happen, it's more quality time, quality conversations.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, 100%.
So that you got that short space of time, so you just really want to discuss the good stuff. And with me, I've kind of, it's probably going to sound selfish, but for me, I'd rather do a client meeting over contact my family. Like, I'm not even joking, because this is where my family and friends in the UK don't understand. That client could land me a big deal.
100%.
And I cannot say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that meeting with you at that time that day because I'm scheduled to talk to my family. Like, my family, no offense, I love you, my family. I'm not bad mouthing, but you're not paying my bills, you're not feeding me, you're not like, you're not contributing to my survival in Dubai, and that's what it is, survival.
It is survival.
And if anything, I'm trying to build a good life here, so like my family can come over and visit, stay long periods, whatever it might be. So right now, to me, I feel like I'm gonna have to make that sacrifice of my family and friends in the UK to progress in what I'm doing now. And again, I don't think that's a bad thing to do, because it took me so long to get to a stage where I was closing deals. And during that struggle, I was doing it on my own. Do you get what I mean? So, well, obviously with people like you by my side, but so for me now, it's very much been like, look, sorry, family, friends, you're going to have to take a back seat. I really need to progress and, move forward with this career that I'm building, because there's so much competition as well. Like, I can't afford to be, sorry, I just need to bring my mom. Like, my mom's still going to be there tomorrow or an hour later kind of thing. So yeah, that's my stance on it. But okay, forget the family side's done. But what about friendships? So obviously moving to Dubai, you want to try and make genuine connections. Yeah. So how have you found making friends, let's say? Because for me, like I told you that story before, I'm like, oh, I love everyone. Everyone's my friend, and we're gonna be besties. And I get stabbed in the back all the time, or I soon realize that the intentions aren't the same kind of thing. So after my first initial few months of making my friends, and then I started to realize people were fake friends, I just cut everyone off, and I just had like you and a few others. I was like, I don't need no other friends. And then I've added a few along the way that have really shown like they're genuine, and you know, they're not just trying to use me as a stepping stone. But what's your experience been like when making friends?
I feel like with me, because my circle back home in the UK was so tight, and I hold my friends to such a high regard. They're literally like my chosen sisters. So I don't let many people in.
No,
I
don't know how I got in.
Yeah, no, I don't. And I think it's one of them things where real recognize real. Like I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I'm quite a good judge of character.
Yeah,
and
you are.
Yeah, so I feel like you have to be special in order for you to be my friend. And I try to, I wouldn't say minimize that, but I really pick and choose with who I have in my space kind of thing, because I'm very much an empath.
Yeah.
I'm very much like, your energy will affect me
100%.
So it's already a struggle out here, and I just can't be having, you know, just anybody spreading their bad energy.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like I think that's where I've started to realize the people that actually are my friends and the ones that I tend to lean on or go to are the ones with the positive energy and the go-getter energy. And you know, and like I literally said this to you the other day, like we're going to have our days when I'm going to be down, but literally I'd bounce back up the next day like, no, I've got to get on with this.
100%.
And you do the same.
You have to though.
We have, you know, we get a little pep talk. That's it. Kick up the backside and then you're on your way kind of thing. Put on your big girl pants and get going kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I've noticed the ones that want to either leech off you and want to ride on your coattails, as it says, like, so you do all the hard work and I'm just going to be your friend and I'm going to eat off your success. I've come across plenty of those, and they are no longer my friends because I quickly recognize who you are. And then the other one is the one that will tell you that they're your friend. Oh, yeah, I'm your friend. But I'm your friend when it suits you.
Yeah.
So when you need something from me, and I'm there, and I'm like there to help you when it comes to work-related stuff or personal stuff, and I'm there to help you, then, you know, I'm your best friend. But then when the shoe's on the other foot and I need something from you, you suddenly are not feeling well.
Yeah, or you're nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. So building that trust is going to take some time. With me, I've learned, like, I made that mistake of trusting too early, treating people like I would treat my friends back in the UK.
Yeah.
And I've said before, like, people are very temporary here. They're not like with us. We've come here to make a life here. We're not like we're going to stay here for a year, make some money and go home. We're here for the long haul. So many other people have come here just for the year because they think, I'm going to go there for a year, I'm going to make £1 million and I'm going to go home. It doesn't happen. But those people are the ones that don't become successful, but also they're the ones that, because they're only here temporarily, they don't care about making strong connections or being genuine friends. So yeah, I've stopped trusting, and I don't really trust many people. And I'll be honest with you, anyone that tries to be my friend now, it's really hard for them to get through that wall. You know, I've got my friends, I've got my people, the people I trust, the people that are there for me, and I firmly believe I don't need anybody else. So you're going to have to be pretty damn special to be my friend nowadays.
Exactly.
So on that note, what are some of the qualities that you look for in a friend? I know you were saying like they've got to have a good vibe, and I think you literally said like they've got to have some sort of positivity.
Yeah. For me, it all comes down to loyalty.
Yeah, 100% me as well.
Is huge.
What star sign are you?
Capricorn.
Oh, I'm Aries. I'm a fire sign.
I don't even know what I am and what that entails, but loyalty for me is everything. Like, you have to be dependable. I feel like I just want the same energy that I would give out. So if you can't return that for me, then what are we doing?
Yeah. Why are we friends?
Why are we friends? It's just a waste of time. It's not genuine. And being loyal, being a good time.
Yeah.
Being a good time. But obviously not knowing that life is not always a good time.
Yeah.
So when there are bad days, and in this job there can be quite a few bad days, knowing that you can, like I said, depend on your friend.
Yeah.
And that they're going to give you, you know, they're going to understand what you're going through, but also remain positive and maybe give you some good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not here for the shabby advice either.
Yeah.
Just someone that you can go through life with, have a good time, but also for them to be there for you on your down days.
100%. You need someone that understands you. I think for me, it's like, sometimes what I love about you and me is, like, I literally did it earlier today. I was just like, blah, 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 like letting it all off my chest. You're like,
taking it all in.
Yeah, I didn't even stop to breathe. And I was just like letting it all out. And you were just like, you just listen. I was like, oh, I'm glad I said that. Like, I didn't. So you're just a very good listener. Like, I can say for sure, like, you're very good at listening. But then I remember in those early days, do you remember that phone call when I was like, oh, I'm going to leave? When I was really upset in that first company, and you were like, get out of it. You were proper like, you know who you are. You deserve better than that. Like, you really was like, stop crying. Like, that's not your person. You really, I mean, she's coming across all sweet and innocent now, but Nosh, if someone hurts someone that she loves, like, you will see the fire in her. So yeah, I was so grateful for those times as well, because I need that. I'm like the fiery one. I'm the one that doesn't take no crap, but it's nice to have someone else that fights for you like that.
Yeah,
like
100%.
100%. Yeah. So have there been any moments where you felt let down or that trust has been broken with friends or so-called friends?
I don't let people into it for them to
During my time in Dubai, I've like leaned on you a lot, like literally today as well.
Likewise.
So, but from your perspective, how have I handled the tough times?
Really well. Really well. Yeah. It's so hard out here, and there's no like manual. Yeah. And there's no one way to go about things. And you've had some really, really hard times. But what I love about you is that, like you said, you may have like a day or two where you're really down in the dumps and you know, letting it all out and doing whatever you need to do. And that's so needed, because you really do need to feel your emotions as a person. Yeah. But you don't let it affect you for too long. And I take inspiration from that. I'm like, no, can't be in this gutter. I need to keep going, because it is survival of the fittest out here. Yeah. And if you allow it to consume you, it will take so long to get back up on your feet. Whatever you're going through, whatever it may be. So yeah, no, you handle things so well.
Do you think?
You should be proud of yourself. Yeah, 100%.
Even with the temper, I think I just let off all that steam first. It's like, and then I'm like, okay, now let me think clearly. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that. Nice. So if someone listening is considering doing the same thing as what we've done and moving over to Dubai, what would be your advice to them in like pretty much everything? Like, what would be your advice? So if your best friend's sister is wanting to move to Dubai and be a real estate agent, what would be your advice to her? Take
what the recruiters say to you with a pinch of salt.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's really difficult, I would reach out to as many people in the industry as possible to really get some raw advice. And ask as many questions as you can. Yeah. If you don't ask, you don't get, really. Yeah. And there's, like I said, there's no manual on how to do this job or how to navigate Dubai. There's so many things that you don't know. There's so many things that pop up initially, and you have to kind of figure it out. Try to be as friendly as possible. So I know it's yes, funny coming from me.
No, you are friendly.
I am.
You're friendly. It doesn't mean that you're best friends with everybody. Yeah. So yeah, you're friendly. Like, you're friendly to the person that sits next. Because like because we obviously started working again together after moving around a few companies. Yeah. And then I remember when you came there, I think you spoke to more people than I did, and I'd already been there for 4 or 5 months. Yeah. And then you came and joined, but you was just like, oh, I've never spoke to this person, but you were like chatting to them. Yeah. So no, you are friendly. Yeah, you do talk to everybody and get to know people.
But just have your wits about you. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process. I think try not to get into your head about things too much, which I tend to do.
Yeah.
But I think there's beauty in the journey always. So just appreciate it.
100%.
And the good times will come, and the deals will come, and the money will come, and it will all come.
Yeah. So my last question then is, if you did this journey all over again, everything you've experienced, what would have helped your journey be easier? I mean, I think having the tough journey is good because it's giving you the skills and the resilience. But if you'd gone back to day one, knowing what was going to happen, what would you have done differently, or what kind of resources would you have gone to or asked for? Do you know what I mean? Like, what was missing that would have made your life easier in the whole part of like moving to Dubai or the real estate job, like everything?
I would have done a lot more research. Maybe I would have spent some time here prior to jumping into the job. Yeah. Understood Dubai's like just the environment, the culture, the different areas, just so that I could kind of not choose but have a say in what area would have suited me to focus on, because I've done quite a few areas. So now it's a good thing with hindsight. I know a lot about a lot, but
you've worked in good areas as well.
But just I think if you specialize in an area and you kind of stick to it, it's really good. So yeah, I think I would have done a lot more research. I think I would have told myself to have a bit more of an outreach to people who work in the industry and have those conversations and be a bit more social. Yeah, I would have been a bit more social just so I can get some, like, I feel like people who have done it before you, they're the best to kind of give you the advice. Yeah. So I think,
they know the journey.
Okay,
cool. Yeah. Well, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. It truly means a lot to me. But just before you go, just tell our listeners, what do you actually do? What area do you specialize in right now? And what do you work in? So they know in case they want to reach out for some advice from you.
I work in Dubai Creek Harbour. It's an up and coming Emaar community. It's a long-term community. It's going to be like the new downtown of Dubai. It's lovely. It's lovely around there. It's kind of like a mix between downtown Dubai and Dubai Marina. And yeah, a lot to come up there in the next 15 to 20 years. So keep a lookout and pay it a visit if you're ever in Dubai.
And you work in?
I work in secondary sales.
Okay, so that's secondary sales are properties that are ready now and people are reselling. Okay, perfect. So again, thank you so much for being here today. Listeners, you can find Nosh's contact information in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe to Coffee with Kirren for more stories from Dubai.